everyone, it's Brianna, and this video is going to be my law school Q&A video. I have filmed this video so many times, but it was too long and I'm trying to make it short so you guys can get the most out of this video without being bored to death. I was asked where I would like to go from here and how I plan to use my JD. So I'm interested in criminal law. I'm interested in advocating for victims, which is what I've always wanted to do before law school, during law school, and after. I think it's important to have something that you're passionate about to help you get through law school, which is something that I'm very grateful for. So yeah, I plan on being a prosecutor for a very, very long time, or doing some kind of work that helps an indigent community or people who feel like they need someone to advocate for them. So violent crimes like murder, rape, malicious wounding, things like that. I'm going to be working in prosecution in a metropolitan area, which I think is important for me because it's a lot going on and I think I can help the most amount of people that way. If there was a situation where I feel like I could not go to law school, would I continue to pursue law school or would I try a different venue? So I would definitely continue to try to do law school because that is something that I'm very passionate about, and I think that's the avenue that would work for me to help victims and to advocate for them. And I think that's something that's very rewarding because law school for me is about service and serving the community, and this is the best way that I think I can do that. Another avenue that I would try if that was absolutely impossible, I would do victim witness, advocating for clients, advocating for families who had a family member who was just murdered or something like that, and maybe I would do some kind of support group, like maybe I would try to get like a social work degree and help people kind of cope after having bad situations happen to them. What was your first semester like? It was very challenging. I didn't really have a background in law, even though my undergrad degree was in sociology and government. I just wasn't prepared for the dense reading. It was hard for me to kind of figure out how I learned best, and there were so many different methods and so many different things that people told me to try that I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best way to do this instead of just doing practice problems, engaging in the material, asking questions to the professor in and out of class, and study groups, which are all things that I think are very important for law school to make sure that you know what's going on. I also think it's important to know what kind of learner you are, so you can ask your academics dean or the dean of students what kind of tests and things like that that you can take to figure out what kind of learner you are, and I think that would help you figure out how you need to study. So if you study best by listening or by talking, hearing the information, then you need to say the information, say flashcards out loud, talk to someone, or something like that. I think that is the way that I learn, but regardless of how you learn, I think you should always be doing practice problems that your professor has online, or you should be doing practice problems from like supplement books like E&Es, which are examples and explanations, which give you a snippet of what the information is about, or you can read an outline and then doing the practice problems that have the answers in the back, so that way you know whether or not you're looking at what you're supposed to be looking at. In class, I think you could also listen to what your professor's talking about, and hopefully that'll help gear you towards what you need to be studying. Sometimes your professors talk about policy and things like that, but that's not exactly what they want to test on, so you should definitely ask your professor what they are looking for and kind of what you should be doing to prepare for class. I also got asked what about like situations where I don't feel comfortable with my professor. I think if you keep working at that relationship, showing the professor that you want to learn and that you have questions and you're like working through the material and struggling through the material, they will definitely be willing to help you and appreciate your concern for the material. So even though I like to talk about personal stuff and talk to the professors about like their kids and what's going on with them and like kind of their experience as a lawyer, sometimes your professor doesn't feel comfortable or doesn't want to talk about that stuff. So you definitely have to gauge what kind of professor you're talking to and kind of what they seem to like to talk about, and I think that'll definitely help steer you into the right direction of how to talk to that professor. If you feel like there's no way you can talk to that professor, then I would recommend talking to a different professor, getting an outline from an older student who had that professor, just working through practice problems and in study groups to try to do the best you can. But don't give up on that relationship really early and trying to talk to them. I think you should keep trying to talk to them, or another professor who teaches the same subject. But if you talk to another professor, they may not teach the same way or emphasize the same stuff. So go with a specific question and hopefully try to get a specific answer. If you didn't really understand what they were trying to say, then go back to your professor, ask a question, and say, I understand that this means this thing. Am I on the right track? What do you think? Not just, can you explain this topic to me? Because it doesn't seem like you were actually engaged in learning the material. How did I figure out what study method works best for me? I kind of touched on that a little bit. I definitely got a lot of advice from a lot of people of what to do, but you can't spend all your time trying something. Maybe like try 2 or 3 things, but then you just have to start working practice problems and like adjusting as you go based on what you feel like works for you. You can't try everything because that will take forever, and like at some point you have to actually start studying. So I would say in the first semester, probably by October, early September, you should be outlining doing practice problems at the latest. The second semester you could start as early as possible, ideally within the first or second weeks of school, so you make sure that you are keeping up with where you want to be, especially if you didn't do as well as you wanted to in the first semester, because the second semester you kind of have a better handle on what's going on. So yeah, don't be discouraged, keep trying, and hopefully these tips worked for you. So if you guys have any more questions, let me make sure that I answered everything that's in here. I think I did. If you guys have any more questions, then definitely leave those in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in my next video.